Okay, I think now this is working. Is the mic working? Yeah, you can hear me. Alright. Alright. Hello. You can hear me now. I apologize for that. I apologize for the lack of streams last week. Just dealing with some family health issues. I had to take care of stuff. So, if I was going to stream, it was just going to be at all different time slots, and I just figured it was best not to do it anyway, especially since the market at that time wasn't doing much of anything. But for the people watching back, I know people are still rolling into the stream, so I'll give it a few more minutes. But for the people watching the stream back, just a reminder that a link to our Discord's in the description below. Completely free to join and everything. And while I've been not that active, the Discord has been growing on itself, which is great to see. So it's good to see that although I'm not there, still people are, all the rest of the traders are picking up and participating, which is very cool to see. So make sure to join that. I will start my Bitcoin analysis, and if anyone shows up late, they'll just have to watch it back. So Bitcoin on the daily chart, since I haven't been here for a while, so let's just I haven't honestly yet looked on the charts too much, just a little bit the other day, but just coming back to the Bitcoin chart, let's look at what happened and why we're dumping right now. So we can see we can get rid of this volume profile, although I might actually want to keep it, but just ignore it for now. And I want you to focus on the swing high right here. So we can see ever since July 20th, we failed to actually make a new high consistently, right? We swing failure pattern this high right here. So we wick above it, close below it, we dump down. Then, once again, we wick above this previous high and close below it, signaling a swing failure pattern. So you've yet to have a clear uptrend, more or less, on the daily time frame. We're continuously swing failure pattern this high, grabbing that excess liquidity and then dumping down to targets. So I just want to take a moment and just zoom out. We'll get rid of this line. Oh, that's a fib bubble. And just see where we stopped and what we got rejected off of. What we got rejected off of was simply just this previous swing low, right? We set this low, we ranged for a bit, and then we continued the trend. We pumped back up, filled this in balance, right? We could take this as a larger macro fair value gap, filled that fair value gap, and then we're continuing the trend. Now we're continuing to the downside. So nothing too unexpected there. If you're trading this on the daily term time frame, it would be nice. However, you kind of get chopped up a little bit, especially if you're using higher leverage. We can take a look here. All right, this right here signals a swing failure pattern, wick above, close below, especially with this such a low closure. But then you see immediately, like, even if you caught the top of this wick, you had a 1% wick to the upside. Which using higher leverage, would definitely could definitely stop you out. So it was a bit of a tricky one to catch. After how many fake attempts do you try? So one, I would count that as you wouldn't get that stopped out because you put your stop above the swing high. 2, 3, how many tries would you get? So it was a bit of a tricky one to catch, quite honestly. But now let's just look for targets to the downside and see what's going to look. So let's actually just take a look at lower time frames, and then just to get a better picture. So you see we broke outside of this little range. I believe what I said last week, or maybe even the week before that, was the value area is skewed to the downside. So what are you most likely to do? You're most likely to break to the upside out of this range, and that's exactly what we did. We didn't really get the continuation of the trend, but we still broke out of this range. This was our range high, this was our range low, and we broke out of it, right? We got a wick above, cool, but then we finally got a closure above, and finally got a closure above this range high, so we technically broke out of it. We didn't continue the trend, but we did break that way. Taking a look at the value area high, which has been respected before. Let's just take a look at this. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Sorry about that. Just take a look at this value area high, which is a previous support and resistance level. You see where we finally broke below it this morning. So, signaling more downside continuation, we take a look at fair value gaps. You see we could fill this one in the 4-hour chart right to here, which is also in line with the point of control. So, look for a little bit of a bounce and a take profit level at around 23,185. That seems to be of great interest there. Two great confluence points for a bounce out of that area, and then we could take a look at how this looks. I don't want to take a volume profile of this just because we did break out, so we don't want too much. However, if we were to take a volume profile of this little range, let's actually just go right here. From here to here, we can take it to here. So we set this swing high. We never close above it, so the range is not invalidated for me. Let me just get rid of the rest of the lines. The range is not invalidated. You can see we do have some volume coming in, and at the bottom, we did break out of this range. So you see that the skew does not always work, especially when you have swing failure patterns. It's a bit of a tricky, or multiple swing failure patterns. Using that, you expect like lower volume up at the top on swing failure patterns, so it is a bit of a trickier metric to read when you're dealing with patterns like these. But you would expect something like coming down to that point of control at 23,185. And then maybe come back and retest this value area low, and then possibly look for continuation downside, finally coming back to this level which we've been expecting to come down to at 21,650. So that's basically what I'm looking for Bitcoin. We got a daily swing failure pattern, nothing too crazy, coming up to this wick right here, and I'm just looking for continuation downside, finally filling this gap, and then after that, then we can take a look at what's going to happen. So let's just look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, what we've been looking at, and I honestly have not looked at this, was to come retest this value area high and see if we were getting a rejection. We actually broke out of this macro value area high, which is certainly quite interesting. So I was looking for a rejection of this value area high, and if we reject it, we can get some swing shorts. But we obviously, we didn't even get like a false rejection. We just broke through it on the daily term time frame. And now we're just coming back, and like any other support and resistance level, I would expect at least a retest of this. I know we kind of retested it back there, but I just want to see it come down, retest this value area high at 766, around 766. And then we can look for continuation upside. Assuming we do hold, that would be great. That would be pretty cool. And then we would look just for a retest of this range chart right here. This actually has been showing a great bit of strength. Let's just take our Fibonacci levels and see if we rejected off of the Fibonacci levels, and we're coming. The 705 is in line with the value area high, which is great confluence. And you can see the 786 is kind of acting as support and resistance level slightly. So just coming back to retest this level, 705 level and the value area high seems of great interest. Now just zooming out, let's see if we do break out of that range high. I don't really expect to happen, tonight, but we could just take a look what's going to happen. We have this swing high, we have this swing low. We do have a bit of a skew to the downside, so if anything, if we do break out of this zone. You know, essentially just coming back to retest this range high, which would be a great move for Ethereum. But mind you, we do have to get past the 786. So if we do continue this trend, which would be interesting to say the least, especially during this time of the cycle, you know, a little downtrend up to this, probably get a rejection off of that 786, and then a retest of this high. That would definitely be interesting. But once again, this time of the cycle, I know there's some hype going on with Ethereum 2.0, so maybe that's what's pushing it. Some money's coming into it, but for now. So are you looking for a short on Bitcoin or already in one? I'm not in a short on Bitcoin. I did not catch a short. But I'm looking to like scalp long those levels that I was talking about. So beyond that, let's just take a look at Ethereum itself and see what we have going on. So coming down here, the daily term time frame. You see why the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation once again is so strong is because Ethereum is so strong compared to Bitcoin, right? Coming up to these range highs, if you were to like compare this kind of to the Bitcoin chart, you know, this is where Bitcoin rejected right here, but you see Ethereum, rejected right over here, market structure wise, but Ethereum has already busted through that and hold it as support. So this is very extremely interesting chart. We just rejected off of this previous untested daily support and resistance level right here. It's completely fine. Coming back to retest this previous high. So basically, targets for Ethereum right now is just 1785. We did fill this fair value gap, so you might get a small bounce here, but really retesting this high as support is what I'm looking for to potentially catch a long position. But other than that, this doesn't look. This looks pretty good. We could take this as like kind of not bars pattern. I pressed the wrong button. Take this as like a mini range. Just not a lot of volume coming in. Just a lot of volume coming in at the bottom. And just maybe like also if we break below this range high, just come back to retest this value area low. It's perfectly fine, but this looks fairly good. Closing above this high would be quite significant. Right? You would then completely change. For me, you would flip market structure to a bullish market structure. From like a downtrend, you're flipping the trend to an uptrend on the daily trend time frame, and that would signify quite a big change in the Ethereum outlook. But for now, you know, we just wicked above, closed below. A major pullback is to be expected here as you come up to your range highs. But not looking too bad. Looking pretty good. So if we go close above that high, you know, it's all bulls are in control till then. Let's just see. But if we take a look at Bitcoin, if we want to take like Bitcoin as an indicator of what's going to happen, excuse me, you're not even close to that, right? You're so far away. You would have to close above 31.3 roughly, which is we're not even close to. So Ethereum's looking pretty good against Bitcoin. I know a lot of people. I haven't been looking. I'm curious, but do you use PVSRA or do you mainly look at structures and ranges? I usually just look at. So what I do is I just establish what I'm looking. So the first step to my analysis is I'll look at the chart and I'll establish, okay, what do I want to take this as? Do I want to take this as a range or do I want to take this as a trend? And obviously on a different time frame. So if I'm coming down to the daily term time frame, let's just look at Bitcoin, for example, because I'm on that chart. Ethereum might even be a bit clearer, but just for the sake. You know, I look at this chart and go, what do I want to take this as? What does this look more to me as? A trend, or do I want to treat this as a range? To me, this looks like a lot like a range, right? We have this swing high, this swing low, and we're currently just floating in between the two. Some can argue it's a daily uptrend because you're making higher highs and lower highs with respect to this point. However, I usually just like to zoom out and just be aware that we are not in a daily uptrend because we are in a bearish market structure, right? You would have to flip this high, close above this high, to then flip it to an uptrend. So for me, we're just currently ranging within a larger downtrend. But for you know, quicker day trades, which we like to do, like, you know, I'm not looking to short this more or less. I'm just looking for like trades within the range right now to take. Especially to talk about on a stream or something like that. So I want to take this as a range. Once I establish that, okay, I'm trading this as a range. After I establish that as a range, I'm going to take my volume profile from the swing high to the current price action. Look at if it's even being respected on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Some major alts, it usually is. On some lower liquidity coins, it's not always respected to a T, right? So I just want to see, are these levels even being respected? Is there a major skew? But I wouldn't say I use one over the other, right? I just use them all in conjunction. I use fibs, I use volume profile. I don't really use the vector candles anymore, honestly. Just not that interested in volume with respect to time. I've just noticed that it doesn't hold up as well as with volume profiles or footprints, which you haven't gotten to yet. But with just volume with respect to price itself. Yeah, hope that's of help. Like, just because I think what you're trying to get at is like, do I take volume indicators more seriously or as a leading indicator compared to structures? And the answer is just no. Structures are structures, and just structures and ranges are the backbone. Like unless price closes above this swing high, I'm not going to be biased. I'm not going to be heavily biased to the upside, right? Until we flip market structure or something like that. So hopefully that answers your question. Like, I have like a bit of a hierarchy of what I look at, and structures and ranges take the most significance. I know there's been I know most of you are like from TJ's realm of it, and you mainly look at fibs as your main confluence, so not really worth looking at vectors from your personal view. Yeah, personally, vectors have just not given a good of a indicator. Most of the time, they're coming in at support and resistance zones, anyways. The volume profile will tell you where the volume's coming in. So you don't really need vectors, more or less, right? Because you see where the volume's coming in at price, and you see where the interest is, you see where the disinterest is, you see where the liquidity is, or at least was, or you see where the interest was at the time. If you want to get into like order flow data, we can start getting into that and see where it actually is currently. There are some good programs for that, but like looking at knowing that this is a high volume candle is just like pretty insignificant for me, because I just wanted to see it fill its gap anyway, because I know there's liquidity in this candle, right? That's just my personal take. So there's no real right or wrong answer. It's just whoever, I guess, has the biggest P&L, right? You can trade off the moon and have the biggest P&L, and you can't really argue with someone. Right? If they come up with a ridiculous system. And it's working. Hopefully that answers your question. You can ask some more questions if I didn't really. But beyond that, you put coins in the chat that you want me to look at. I know alts are starting to take off apparently. People are talking about like alt season. So I wanted to just take a look at a few. Gala had a nice big move up on the daily time frame from its swing low. Just ignore this range. Looking pretty good. I would still. Yeah, you don't really flip anything. This looks actually really bad. I don't even know where you flip. Like, where do you even? I guess if you want to consider this a new low, you would flip market structure with this breaking 87.9 cents. Flipping that flips your market structure to a bullish market structure. But until then, we can just take a little volume profile. I keep on clicking the wrong bars pattern. Yeah, we can see that the volume profile is heavily skewed to the upside. We also have a low volume node coming in, so maybe just a bit fill this a bit more. Coming to this, right? You see we come into it, retest this value our high right here, which is a pretty good sign. So we broke above it. Got a continuation candle once again on these low liquidity coins, less popular coins. This isn't a break for me. You want to see a continuation candle. So we got a close above, continuation. Okay, we broke out, came into this low volume node, retest this. This is also probably Fibonacci level, happens to be. Right, if we put enough Fibonacci levels up, something's gonna hit. So we came up to the 618, retested the value area high. Currently closing above this value area high, or even slightly closing above it. Once again, you need a continuation candle. So even if we close slightly below it, nothing of major significance for me. But I just want to see a fill of this low volume node up to 74, and then we can like look for a bit of a rejection, and probably we'll wick up to the 705. Something like that. Do you look at SPY or trade traditional markets? I do trade traditional markets. Yes, I do. I can look at SPY. I usually... Sorry. We'll look at SPX. I mainly trade ES. I'll trade gold sometimes. I haven't traded gold in a while. But, yeah, I'll mainly just trade, ES. For me, that's enough. Taking a look at SPX, it's looking pretty strong. We have this fair value gap to the upside. Just bang, bang, which we expect to fill. So this is looking pretty good. Although we are having a red day, we also have this gap here. You might come back and fill, but looking pretty strong. Did you flip structure? Yeah, you did kind of technically flip structure, right? You set this lower high to make this new lower low. So technically you flipped market structure to bullish market structure. So assuming we continue above this previous high, right? We never really close above it. Everything's good, and if you want to be more conservative, like just wait a little bit longer to change your bias to the downside again, I would wait to close below 40.79. But closing below 41.76 might give you a bit of a head start to that that market structure flip. That is I guess I missed a good week. It's a pretty significant move up. If we look at the weekly, Yeah, you didn't really change anything until you closed below above this high, which we're not even. What is that, like 8%? Yeah, until you close below 46.37, which is fairly highway. We were not flipping market structure on the weekly time frame. So, my time frame for Bitcoin has always been the first week in November. We'll see the bottom. I believe which also aligns with midterm elections, which is fairly convenient. Definitely not a coincidence, but you know, like a slight uptrend till November. Like, I'm not sorry, not till November. Like maybe like something like September, and then we can just come back down. You know, these things take time. So although you did flip market structure, right? Like this whole move back to this level could take a week, and then this whole move up could take another 3 weeks, right? We can see how long this move takes. It's not like Bitcoin, where you just retest levels in a blink of an eye. So, nothing too unexpected macro-wise, but looking pretty good on the daily time frame. So coming back to retest this previous high would look great. Even if we get down to there, I don't know. I guess we have FOMC minutes in 30 minutes, so maybe that will be of something. My problem with fibs is that you can see it hit any levels, and I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or just random. Yeah, pretty much. At some point, you just have to use it in influence with others. That's why fibs, for me, are more or less have become at the end. Right? You kind of see how I do things live, where I see, okay, is this range, is trend, volume profile, get a bias with the volume profile, see how it's reacting, mark out like range highs, range lows, if it's ranging, if it's trending, or if it's flipping market structure, like flip out those levels like the previous highs and stuff like that, and then add the fibs on, and like if something lines up with the fib, then you're more likely to. And also fair value gaps. Fair value gaps come before even fibs. Like fair value gaps and then Fibonacci levels. Yeah, fibs come way at the end for me now. Because it's basically the same issue. It's like I can make the whole I can come up with any random number. But look, it hit this thing 5 times. It works. But it ain't for me. SPX did hit 200 EMA resistance, so we will see. Okay, I don't really use moving averages anymore either. I do use VWAP, which I should have on. I should have all my VWAPs. This looks like a mess, but yeah, we're back above the yearly VWAP, which is a good sign as well. So, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. I don't use moving averages anymore, to be quite honest with you. But I will take a look. 200. Oh no, I don't know what's going on. Stop. Okay. 2G move average. Yeah, okay, so we got it to the T. Cool. So we get, once again, expect a pullback. So that's great, guys. So thank you very much. I will end the stream right here. Thank you all for watching. Remember, there's a Discord link in the description below if you guys want to join. Also, if you want to trade on Bybit, 30% off all of your fees in the description below can help you save some money and stuff. And if you want to learn about NFTs, there's also a Discord link in the description below. I'm not promoting you buy anything from there or anything like that, but yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully more people come tomorrow. I know it's just getting back into things, so thank you all very much. I hope you